Allo Allo once had audiences clutching their sides with laughter, thanks to its clever wartime humor, unforgettable characters, and iconic one-liners. But behind those laughs, few knew that many of the show's stars met tragic ends, ranging from a horrific car accident to a mysterious illness that stunned the artistic community. Let's pay tribute to these legends and honor the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go. Gordon Kaye as Renee Artois. Gordon Kaye, born on April 7, 1941 in Huddersfield, was a British actor best known for playing Renee Artois, the cunning cafe owner entangled in endless love triangles in the classic sitcom Allo Allo from 1982 to 1992. When he was 41, he became an essential face of the show, appearing in 85 TV episodes and performing in 1,200 stage shows, bringing laughter to millions. But behind that charming role was a lonely soul, full of quiet fractures. An only child with no family of his own, Kaye grew up shy and reserved, never quite escaping insecurities about his sexuality and appearance. He once admitted to nights spent with male escorts in Soho bars, only to be consumed afterward by shame and guilt. That feeling of being boxed in, as he wrote in his autobiography, Renee and Me, turned his real life into a silent stage where no one could hear the sighs behind the curtain of comedy. Tragedy struck in 1990. During a violent storm in London, a billboard was ripped loose by the wind and crashed through the windshield of the car Kaye was driving, slamming into his head and causing severe brain trauma. The accident nearly killed him. Though he survived, he was never quite the same. After emergency brain surgery, he suffered temporary memory loss and was left with a long scar across his forehead, a fateful line dividing his life in two. Once a sought-after actor, he gradually disappeared from screens, only occasionally taking small roles in shows like Revolver and The Bullion Boys. But the glow of Renee had faded from his weary eyes. Kaye's losses weren't just physical and professional. He also fell into emotional isolation. He never married, had no children, and lived quietly in a small house in Knaresborough. As loneliness deepened, he lost the drive to pursue art and couldn't recover financially. Though once a national TV icon, by the end of his life his entire estate amounted to less than £500,000, enough for a modest life, but far from fitting for a British television legend. During his final 2 years, Kaye lived in a care home due to dementia. From someone who once made the entire country laugh, he slowly slipped into obscurity, even forgetting his own past glory. He passed away peacefully on January 23, 2017, when he was 75. At a simple funeral in Huddersfield, old castmates like Vicky Michelle and Sue Hodge came to say goodbye, and the Yorkshire folk hymn on Ilkla Moorbot at played, a bittersweet farewell to the life of a quiet clown. Carmen Silvera as Edith Artois. Carmen Silvera, born on June 2, 1922 in Canada, was a Spanish-descended actress who became a beloved figure across Britain thanks to her unforgettable role as Edith Artois, the sharp-tongued, tone-deaf wife in the iconic sitcom Allo Allo. She first stepped into the role in 1982 when she was 60 years old and remained with the show for a full decade. Over that time, she helped turn Madam Edith into a household name and a lasting part of British television history. But away from the bright lights of comedy and applause, Carmen Silvera was a woman marked by quiet sorrow and personal loss. In 1949, during her marriage to actor John Cunliffe, she suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage. The couple later divorced, and Silvera never remarried. She remained childless for the rest of her life, pouring all her love and devotion into her craft. Reflecting on her life in an interview, she once said, "I loved the stage with all my heart, because apart from it, I had nothing else." Though Allo Allo brought her immense recognition, it also became a double-edged sword. The role of Edith was so iconic, so firmly etched into the minds of viewers, that Silvera found herself trapped by it. Despite appearing in later productions like Waters of the Moon and the film La Pasión, she struggled to break free from the image of the nagging, bothersome old wife. In her later years, she spoke candidly about this frustration, saying that people no longer saw her as Carmen Silvera, the actress, but only as Madame Edith. By the late 1990s, Silvera's health had begun to fail. She had been a heavy smoker for much of her life, and in 2001 she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Choosing dignity over prolonged treatment, she declined chemotherapy and moved into Denville Hall, a retirement home for elderly performers. There, she spent her final days in quiet solitude, visited by a few loyal friends, including her former Allo Allo co-star Gordon Kaye. Carmen Silvera passed away on August 3, 2002, when she was 80 years old. Her estate, estimated at around £1 million, included a modest London flat and a collection of treasured mementos from her long and dedicated career. Though she left the world quietly, her legacy lives on, in every laugh, every scene, and every memory of Madame Edith. Richard Marner as Colonel Kurt von Strom. Richard Marner, born Alexander Pavlovich Molchanov on March 27, 1921 in Petrograd, Russia, was a Russian-born actor best known for playing Colonel Kurt von Strom in the British sitcom Allo Allo from 1982 to 1992. When he took on the role at age 61, he left a lasting impression as the stern yet slyly humorous German officer, adding a distinct flavor to the show. But behind his half-century-long acting career lay a life of inner conflict and solitude. He spent his entire life trapped in villain roles, German soldiers, KGB agents, or vague characters with heavy Russian accents. Even though he appeared in major films like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold and You Only Live Twice, he was rarely offered roles that explored emotional depth. It was only as Colonel von Strom, both strict and comedic, that he briefly broke free from the shackles of decades-long typecasting. But the spotlight couldn't warm a cold marriage. Marner married Pauline Farr in 1947, but their long union was full of turbulence. Rumors swirled about infidelity, alcoholism, and strained relationships, including with their only daughter, who once publicly claimed she felt abandoned by a father who got lost in his characters and forgot who he was at home. These cracks followed Marner to the end, prompting him to retreat from London and live in seclusion in a small house in Perthshire, Scotland. In his final years, his health steadily declined. Marner battled chronic bronchitis. He died on March 18, 2004, just 9 days before his 83rd birthday. His estate, around £1 million, included his home in Perth and a few acting keepsakes, remnants of a life dedicated to the stage, even if he never truly belonged to any of them. Rose Hill as Madame Fanny Lefan. Rose Hill, born on June 5, 1914, in London, was the actress who had television audiences laughing with her role as Madame Fanny Lefan, the sharp-tongued, fiery mother of Edith in Allo Allo from 1982 to 1992 when she was 68. With her piercing eyes and razor-sharp voice, Hill became unforgettable every time Madame Fanny fired her pistol from under the pillow or screeched for her wine. Yet her real life was far from comedic. Hill had once been a rising star in English lyric opera. She performed as Despina in Così fan tutti, Barberina in The Marriage of Figaro, and Lucy in the premiere of Britain's The Beggar's Opera. But as age crept in, her spotlight dimmed, and she transitioned into television, taking on supporting roles in shows like A Touch of Frost and The Bill. She never married, nor had children. In her later years, Hill lived at Denville Hall, a retirement home for elderly actors, alongside fellow cast member Carmen Silvera. There, she lived in near seclusion, with no family nearby and no more roles waiting. She passed away on December 22, 2003, at Denville Hall, when she was 89. Her estate, estimated at around £1 million, consisted mainly of keepsakes, performance shoes, handwritten scores, and unreleased recordings, testaments to a life devoted to art. Jack Haig as Roger Leclerc. Jack Haig, born John Cecil Coppin on January 5, 1913, in Streatham, London, was a veteran face of British TV comedy, forever remembered for the catchphrase, "It is I, Leclerc," in Allo Allo, from 1982 to 1989. When he first played Monsieur Roger Leclerc at age 68, he brought roaring laughter through his oddball disguises, fake mustache, and ridiculous antics. But behind his charming comedy was a life filled with regret, illness, and a quiet end at the height of success. Haig's entire career was a string of supporting roles. He made people laugh, but was never invited to center stage. He appeared in major series like Hugh and I and Are You Being Served, and even turned down the role of Corporal Jones in Dad's Army, a choice he later called a bitter mistake. Haig remained typecast as a forgettable fool. His career drifted without breakthroughs or awards, and the slow-burning disappointment nearly drove him to quit TV in the late 1970s. Then the role of Leclerc arrived like one last spark, a supporting part that stole the audience's hearts, and ultimately became his final performance. Success on screen couldn't soothe the turbulence of his private life. His nearly 50-year marriage to music hall artist Sybil Dunn wasn't as peaceful as it appeared. Haig spent months away filming Crossroads, while Sybil stayed on the road with small stage shows. They quietly lived in different worlds. When Sybil died in 1988, just 2 days before their golden anniversary, Haig was devastated. His only daughter once said, "He didn't know how to live outside of work," a gentle reproach that left the aging father withdrawn in silence. Tragedy struck during the stage production of Allo Allo at the London Palladium in 1989, when Haig suddenly fell ill and was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. Within 2 months, the man who once filled theaters with laughter had wasted away in a hospice bed at the Marie Curie facility in Hampstead. He passed away on July 4, 1989, when he was 76. Some of his co-stars called it a departure in character, a quiet death while the show was still on, leaving an empty stage and an ache that lingered. John Louis Mansi as Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen. John Louis Mansi, born on November 8, 1926 in London, was a British actor of Italian-Irish descent, best remembered for his role as Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen in Allo Allo, the small, bumbling, oddly loyal Gestapo assistant. He joined the cast in 1985 when he was 58 and remained a fan favorite through to the series finale in 1992. With his furtive glances, tiny frame, and signature leather uniform, Mansi had viewers in stitches, but few knew that his real life was one of silence, uncertainty, and melancholy. Before Allo Allo, Mansi appeared in notable films like The Italian Job, 1969, and Help with the Beatles, but only in minor roles, usually as an Italian waiter or a forgettable background character. Friends joked that he was the real-life Louie Dombrowski, as his distinctive face made it nearly impossible to find work after the series ended. When Allo Allo concluded, Mansi's career faded too. He was no longer cast, and he retreated to a small home in East Sussex, burdened by unpaid bills and the weight of a fading legacy. His private life was so guarded that even castmates admitted they knew little about him off-set. Some relatives hinted at a troubled past, including heavy smoking and unresolved family conflicts. At one point, he completely withdrew, spending his time re-watching old VHS tapes of his favorite films, clinging to a golden era as the shadows drew near. In 2010, he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, a final blow many attributed to his years of silent smoking. Before that, he had privately battled Parkinson's disease for 6 years, never once complaining or revealing his condition. He died on August 6, 2010, at his home in Berwick, East Sussex, when he was 83. His funeral in Bexhill-on-Sea was modest, attended by only a few close friends. His estate was valued at about £500,000, modest for a lifelong performer, and included his small house, some memorabilia, and a worn-out video player that endlessly looped old films like Tales from the Crypt and The Spy Who Came In from the Cold, where he once appeared briefly. Hilary Minster as General Erich von Clinkerhoffen. Hilary Minster was born on March 21, 1944, in Surrey, England. He was best known for playing General Erich von Clinkerhoffen in the hit comedy Allo Allo from 1984 to 1992 when he was 40. His character, a rigidly disciplined German officer trapped in absurd situations, made him a staple of British TV for nearly a decade. Before Allo Allo, Hilary appeared in Doctor Who, A Bridge Too Far, and Secret Army, but mostly in minor roles. He was often cast for his cold appearance, which made escaping typecast roles difficult. Although he once collaborated on scripts with comedy icon Kenneth Williams, his career never quite took off. Except for General Clinkerhoffen, the part that brought him fame but also marked the end of other opportunities. In his private life, Hilary married Christine Parkinson and had 4 children, but the marriage ended quietly. After the divorce, he virtually disappeared from show business, shifting to host the humanitarian-themed news show Here and Now, a little-known program praised for its depth. It was a time when he rarely appeared on screen, yet he continued to work diligently behind the scenes. Those close to him said he kept to himself, avoided public events, and focused silently on writing. Tragedy struck in 1999 when he was diagnosed with cancer. Hilary Minster passed away just a few months later, on November 24, 1999, in London, when he was 55. He was buried at Putney Vale Cemetery. The epitaph on his grave read with poignant warmth, "The noblest of men. He brought laughter to millions." His estate was estimated at about £1 million, a modest sum for a life in the arts. Kenneth Connor as Msieur Alphonse. Kenneth Connor, born on June 6, 1918 in London, was one of Britain's most enduring comedic actors. When he was 66, he joined Allo Allo as Msieur Alphonse, the undertaker with a weak heart, forever smitten with Madame Edith and prone to fainting from overwhelming emotion. The role, which ran from 1984 into the early 1990s, brought audiences both laughter and sympathy. Yet Connor's real life was far less gentle than the laughter he inspired. Although he was awarded an MBE in 1991 and was a core cast member of the legendary Carry On film series, appearing in 17 original films, Connor lived under the strain of fame and fractured relationships. He married young and had a son, child actor Jeremy, but his marriage was often troubled. He struggled with infidelity and alcoholism during the post-Carry On years, leading to deep rifts with loved ones, especially his son. Behind the scenes, Connor also faced financial betrayal. A close associate who managed his finances led him into debt, forcing him to take on numerous minor television roles, from Rent-A-Ghost to Hida High, just to stay afloat. Still, he maintained a high standard, appearing in Blackadder and acclaimed stage productions like A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. His relentless dedication to the craft earned public admiration. By 1993, cancer had begun to erode Connor's health. Yet he continued working until just days before his death, making a final appearance on Telly Addicts. He passed away at home in Harrow on November 28, 1993, when he was 75. His body was cremated at Breakspear Crematorium. Connor left behind an estate estimated at £3 million, much of it from royalties from Carry On and Allo Allo, as well as his home in Harrow. Robin Parkinson as Ernest Clerk. Christopher Robin Parkinson, born on October 25, 1929, in Coventry, England, took on the role of Msieur Ernest Clerk in Allo Allo from 1991 to 1992 when he was 58, stepping in after the passing of Derek Royal. His portrayal, a clumsy master of disguise loyal to the resistance, made him a memorable part of the show's final chapters and helped him continue to perform on stage in the West End and in an Australian tour. However, Robin Parkinson's life was not as light-hearted as the characters he played. Despite a long and steady career, he was once rumored to have clashed with a director in a major stage production, which allegedly led to a quiet blacklisting from certain television networks. While unproven, the speculation caused him to withdraw from high-profile projects for a time. He later found peace narrating and voicing the beloved children's show Button Moon. Privately, Robin married Patricia Rogers in 1956 and had 3 children, including Sarah Parkinson, a prominent radio and TV producer and the late wife of comedian Paul Merton. Though their family appeared stable, the British arts community quietly whispered about periods of tension in their marriage and possible extramarital affairs. Still, Parkinson was widely regarded as kind, calm, and exceptionally discreet. Robin Parkinson died on May 7, 2022 in Kingston-upon-Thames, when he was 92. The cause was pneumonia, metastatic ureteral cancer, and acute kidney failure. Until the end, he lived in a large riverside home filled with theatrical memorabilia. His estate was estimated at around £2 million, reflecting a life of quiet dedication and steady work. Jeremy Lloyd as Wolfgang. Jeremy Lloyd, a man who made Britain laugh but died in solitude and financial struggle, was born on July 22, 1930 in Essex. When he was 62, he appeared in Allo Allo as Wolfgang, the bumbling German officer, a minor part in what was a complex personal journey. Behind that comedic role stood a genius writer, the co-creator of Allo Allo, and the mastermind behind the beloved sitcom Are You Being Served? Lloyd's childhood was marked by a sense of rejection. His parents considered him a burden, sent him to live with his grandmother, and later pulled him from private school, declaring, "That boy will never amount to anything." The wound stayed with him for life, fueling a relentless drive to prove himself. Starting with odd jobs like selling paint and working in retail. His experiences at Simpsons of Piccadilly later inspired the first episodes of Are You Being Served? But success never healed his emotional scars. His marriages mirrored that instability. A brief romance with actress Joanna Lumley ended after only months amid rumors of betrayal and coldness. 3 other marriages also failed amid disputes over children, jealousy, and a deep sense of detachment. Lloyd, known for crafting lovable, bumbling characters, was in reality described as manipulative, emotionally distant, and fearful of intimacy. His turbulent personal life cast a shadow over his creative triumphs. One might have thought fame would redeem his troubled journey. Allo Allo became one of Britain's most beloved sitcoms and earned him an OBE in 2013. But off-stage, things were grim. Lloyd was beset by financial troubles due to divorces, poor management, and mounting legal costs. When he died from pneumonia in London on December 23, 2014, when he was 84, his estate was worth just £59,218, a bitter figure for someone once at the pinnacle of British comedy. Vicky Michelle as Yvette Carte Blanche. Vicky Michelle, born Michelle Vicky Nathan on December 14, 1950, in Chigwell, Essex, was just 32 when she took on the role of Yvette Carte Blanche, the sultry waitress hopelessly infatuated with Renee in the BBC sitcom Allo Allo. Her performance, spanning all 85 episodes from 1982 to 1992, made her a comedic icon. She also toured with the cast across Europe and Australia, bringing laughter to millions. Yet behind the glamorous image lay a life marked by hardship. In 2015, Michelle suffered a serious injury when a reality TV star threw a champagne glass at her during a live show, causing a concussion, neck trauma, and near blindness. The incident forced the program off air and led to a police investigation. Michelle spent months in recovery, later developing chronic tinnitus, a lasting scar from the attack. Her personal life was also fraught. Though married to cinematographer Graham Fowler since 1974, their relationship faced repeated speculation due to long public silences. Michelle was involved in a tense legal battle over royalties with the producers of Allo Allo in the late 1990s, leading to a permanent rupture with the creative team. The fallout affected both her income and her standing in the television industry. Nevertheless, Michelle remained resilient. She continued starring in major stage productions, Dracula, Annie, Salad Days, earning praise for her versatility in both comedic and dramatic roles. Offstage, she became director of the media company Trading Faces, worked with stars like Charles Dance and Joanna Lumley, and hosted a radio show on Phoenix FM since 2017. She also devoted herself to charity, serving as patron or ambassador for over 10 organizations. As she turns 74 in 2025, Vicky Michelle has no plans to retire. She continues working in television, EastEnders, radio, and theater, and remains a passionate advocate for victims of injustice and abuse. With an estimated net worth of £3 million from royalties, real estate, and her business, Michelle stands not only as a symbol of comedic allure, but also as a testament to resilience, reinvention, and quiet strength in an unforgiving industry. Kim Hartman as Private and Lance Corporal Helga Gearhart. Kim Leslie Hartman was born on January 11, 1952, in Hammersmith, London. In 1982, when she was just 30, she stepped into British television history with her role as Helga Gearhart, the cold, commanding, yet alluring German officer in the hit BBC sitcom Allo Allo. For 10 years, Kim embodied Helga with chilling precision and piercing eyes, becoming a standout character in the show's eccentric ensemble. However, Kim Hartman's real life was far from the poised figure she portrayed on screen. After the show's success, she struggled to escape the long shadow cast by Helga. Being typecast made directors hesitant to offer her more nuanced roles. At the same time, what appeared to be a happy marriage with fellow actor John Nolan, the uncle of acclaimed director Christopher Nolan, faced a turbulent period. A prolonged separation and financial disputes involving their joint company, Quentin Arts, pushed her into emotional turmoil, despite their eventual reconciliation and continued life together with their 2 children. The years following Allo Allo saw Kim battling anxiety and depression, a fact she bravely discussed in a 2000s interview. The entertainment industry's harsh treatment of aging actresses left her feeling invisible, despite her extensive experience in both television and theater. Still, she persisted, appearing in shows like Grange Hill, Casualty, and the Brita's Empire, and even hosting the travel program Cruising to the Northern Lights. On stage, she found renewed success in plays such as Don't Dress for Dinner, Stepping Out, and Hay Fever, performing across the UK and in New Zealand. Though she endured many dark chapters, Kim Hartman never gave up on her craft. In 2023, when she was 71, she made a return to television with a guest role in the BBC series Doctors, offering a performance rich in emotional depth. As of 2025, at age 73, she lives a quiet life in England with an estimated net worth of around £2 million, consisting of a charming historic home and steady income from royalties of her past works. Which actor left the biggest impression on you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting updates. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.